So getting into fashion was something totally different for me in terms of like not having any background specifically or any kind of like education in fashion. However, I did it and I'm quite enjoying it. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about my journey. So 2020, last year, very unusually or very a lot of things happened, not just to me, but a lot of people, a lot of changes in terms of society, economy. It was just a little chaotic, to some extent, and it was very unexpected. And working from home, being a parent, being a full-time working mother, it's already is a lot that we do. And on top of that, when the pandemic hit and everything had to be virtual, now I became the teacher. I became, started to fix all 3 meals together. I started to put all the snacks together. So, and then there was work, and I was heading the HR information systems and the payroll operations in 13 countries, and I loved what I was doing, and I had a very stellar team. So I didn't want to let anybody down. So I was really making time for everyone but for myself. And then it started to hit me. And there came a point in time where it was just physically impossible for me to work. There was nothing wrong with me in terms of like mentally, my brain was very sharp and alert, but just my body was giving up on me. And it was a very funny situation that I started to notice where I felt like as if I was going, like my brain was going at 100 miles per hour, but my body was only at 50 miles per hour. And I wasn't able to understand why is there such a big disconnect and what's going on. And then, I kept on ignoring the signs. And then eventually it just came to a point where I just was like, I had to take a break and focus on myself. So there's a lot of things I learned during this time. And I took this as an opportunity to educate myself and also to take a look at my lifestyle and reinvent myself, so to speak. And something that I learned is that burnout is actually a thing. Like everybody has burnout, right, in today's days. But what's so different about chronic fatigue when somebody is diagnosed with something like that? And that is something like a puzzle. It's very tricky, and it's not an easy thing that you can just fix by taking a pill. It requires a complete change in your lifestyle. So burnout is a thing. I took it seriously. And then also, as I was on this journey of healing myself, I learned a lot about health by working through different life coaches, through nutritionists and other holistic doctors. And I learned that when we're looking at health, we have to look at it from multiple viewpoints. It's not, health is 5-dimensional to me. It's physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual. And if these things are not in balance, they start to drain us, like toxic relationships, for instance. So they suck on our energy. So this was a very good opportunity for me to take a look at my lifestyle, the way I'm living, and figure out what is it that I want to do next. So something, even as a little girl, that I really enjoy doing is fashion, styling. It brings me fun, it brings me pleasure. I really like to be involved in creative activities like painting. I love to play like tennis. And all the things that I love to do, I wasn't doing a single one of them. And that's something I realized. And once I made this realization, I'm like, okay, now I have this opportunity. What am I going to do about it? Now that I know what is it that I want and what brings me joy, what am I going to do about it? So I was like, okay, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to start looking into certain things. And then the thought came like, okay, what is it that I want to do even in this business? What can I bring or do a little different that hasn't been done before? So I started looking into through my own journey and learning a lot about myself and how our emotions and all these feelings can affect us. Can I put that into a design, into a fashion piece that can tell a story, and that story in turn can inspire people? So I started looking into, can fashion really inspire? Can fashion change how people feel about themselves? And when I started to look into these topics, I learned a great deal. So there's already a lot of research being done on this thing, and a lot of materials available out there, a lot of studies. And you often hear terms like color psychology, embodied cognition. So what is all of that about? So something that I learned which really blew my mind and made me think about, my thought pattern was that, on an average in a day, we have about 60,000 thoughts. And you might see a different number from different sources. However, the point is that no matter what the sources say or what number they put out over there, the thing that is common among all of that is that most of those thoughts are negative. So imagine that. So when I read such stats, it just made me reflect on my thoughts. Like, how am I treating myself? You know, I'm nourishing my body. I'm nourishing, you know, myself in so many ways. How am I nourishing myself through my thoughts? Because whatever thoughts you think, you're putting that inside your body, and that actually has effect on your hormones. And there's a lot of research being done on how negative thoughts can affect your body's capability of producing some of the happy hormones like serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and things like that. So that was to me very interesting. And then when I did a little bit more research on these things, and just, you know, one question led to another and one topic led to another, I just came across a lot of the research. So Psychology Today, for instance, it said that fashion is self-knowledge and self-expression expressed through what you choose to wear, a life-affirming expression of your character and spirit. So what you wear defines, basically, is telling people, you know, what you are, who you are, even whether we know it or not, whether we agree with it or not. So people's, and also there was another study done, which is like, can people's perception really change if they put in more effort to dress themselves? And the research was, again, you know, it was like, yes. So people, you know, who put more care into dressing themselves up, they viewed themselves a little better, and their performance was a little better. So, and also another thing is that on the color psychology, the colors influence us in ways we don't even realize. And it not just influences us, but also whatever color you wear can also impact the person who's looking at you. So for instance, we have this example that orange, the color orange, why is it called the creativity color or vibrancy color? Well, that is because the orange increases, or the orange color increases the supply of oxygen in the brain. So it has an energizing effect. It stimulates the brain activity. So when I, you know, read all this information and I took all of these pieces together, I was like, okay, now I know what I'm going to do. I am going to put all of these together into creating patterns, designs using colors that are tied to specific emotions and create my line. So my next thing was, okay, in terms of what products am I going to create, where am I going to start? So I was like, okay, I'm going to start with scarves. Why? Because scarves are a symbol of respect in many cultures. When I did research on it, they're a symbol of respect. And also scarves are known to make women feel elegant. There has been research on this thing that when a woman wears a scarf, she feels elegant. And that's what I want people to feel. I want them to feel elegant. And also there's research being done on things like how women, you know, they dress and how they feel. That can affect the kind of decisions they make during their day. So, you know, it's powerful. Fashion is so much power. Who knew? You know, we take certain things lightly, but we can use it in a way to communicate or express ourselves. So that's where my silk scarves were born. So again, it was from a desire just to create something that not just effortlessly elevates your style, but also transforms your mindset. And also I felt like that, you know, just the last year, there was such a disconnect. People just felt so disconnected from the society, from their friends, from their family, and also from themselves. So in times where we cannot connect with others, we have to learn to connect with ourselves. So how do we do that? You know, we do it through either like reading books, painting. Last year, the sale of art products, I don't know if you noticed or not, it went up, it skyrocketed because they were doing really well. A lot of people were just gravitating towards these activities because they are very calming in nature, playing with colors and all. So there are a lot of ways people do this thing, like through books, reading, motivational quotes, or whatever that motivates or inspires them. I'm doing this thing through fashion. And my whole thing is to help women, and in general, like everyone, become more aware of their emotions, their feelings, and how it is affecting them, their day-to-day, and their decisions that they're making. Sorry, my throat. So yes, so the power to feel good is within ourselves. And I want my scarves to be a reminder of that. So that said, so yeah, so in terms of, like looking at people and helping people connect to their emotions. Now there's so many emotions. We are not just one emotion. We are complex, right? So how do I simplify it to help people connect to themselves? So just because of my cultural background, my upbringing, I'm more aware of the chakra system. Now this is called different things in different cultures. This is what I'm familiar with, so I'm going to start. So I was like, I'm going to start from this point, and then as I grow my brand, I will look into other areas or other cultures and tell their story, basically. So anybody who's not familiar with the chakra system, it's basically tied to your body's energy centers, your primary organs, and it runs all the way from the base of your spine to the top of your head. And each of these like 7 key chakras are tied to certain colors and certain organs of your body. So the point is this, that by focusing on a specific color and those qualities of that color, you're able to draw your attention, your awareness to that particular part of your body or that particular emotion. So this is how you're able to send energy or frequency or however you want to call it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start from the chakra system. So all my scarves, not all of them, but I have like 7 of them tied to the 7 key chakras. So I was like, okay, I have one collection down. I did a lot of research on what is it that I want to each scarf to tell or kind of story I wanted to tell people to inspire them. And then I did a lot of research on things like like spirituality. So as I was getting more into this awareness and creative expression and more aware of your feelings, my research was like becoming more and more spiritual in nature. So I just got into animals and certain animals that are tied to certain aspect of ours because of their instincts or their qualities, and how by focusing on their qualities or being aware of those things, we can actually, again, shift our energy or our mindset at that given point in time. So I had that collection. So basically did a lot of research and had my one collection down. So, and then I was like, okay, I need to have a little bit more, not just one collection. Let me think about something else. And then one area that I really liked about my culture is around the 16th century, where the art at that time in South Asia was heavily influenced by Persian art. And I feel like that is very underrepresented and also very limited in scope. Like people, when they look at that art, they just think in terms of tablecloth, carpet, not beyond that. Like nobody thinks about how that art came into being and how it was heavily influenced by spirituality, by love and romance and things like that. And that story is not being told. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have one collection dedicated to that royal art or that era of the 16th century art from South Asia, just to bring more awareness about it and the story it tells. So now I had 2 collections down. And I was like, that was a good start for me, because already, a lot of research had gone into finding the vendors and how am I going to go about it, what kind of platform I'm going to use, and so forth. So I was like, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to start with these 2 and see how it does, and then I'm going to expand. So that's the story behind some of these collections. So here is, I just wanted to share with you, give you a visual of what I'm talking about. So I have about 3 scarf designs over here, along with the descriptions that I wanted to share with you. So this first scarf is tied to the first energy center, and that's all about grounding. It's the root, and it's about laying foundations. And you can only grow as much as your foundation will allow you to grow. So you need to lay a strong foundation to be able to grow. And by that I mean like transform, evolve, or just become more aware of yourself and your emotions and feelings and so forth. So this to design this first scarf, I used the name I am enough. So it's like a positive affirmation. So when you're wearing that scarf and you buy that scarf and you're looking at that scarf, it has a name. It's not just a scarf. And when you say that name, it affects the way you feel, right? I am enough. Like when you say that out loud to yourself, that just changes the way you are feeling in that moment. And because that first energy center is all about survival instinct, so I showed that by putting in a lot of animals in there, because it's all about animal instinct, it's about survival. And grounding them all is the elephant, because the qualities of the elephant is that it's a very balanced animal. And so you will see that everything is just revolving around the elephant. And the giraffe is also very prominent. And the giraffe is all about gentleness, about elegance. So it's again, a reminder that when we are talking to ourselves, whenever we are looking at ourselves, to do it gently, to be gentle on ourselves, because we do a better job of loving others than we do of loving ourselves. And that's just something we need to be aware of and see how we are sabotaging ourselves. And that sabotage, self-sabotage can hold us back in our jobs, in our careers, in finances, and so many other, in relationships. So we just need to become more aware of that. So that is the whole purpose of having this, at least the first scarf, helping everybody lay that strong foundation. The second one I wanted to share with you was the orange. So remember the point I made earlier that orange affects the way it makes our brain feel more energized, because the oxygen supply increases when you look at the color orange. So again, so this scarf, as you can see, it's called I Feel Vibrant. And this is tied to the third chakra, so to speak, the third energy center, which is all about creativity. It's all about imagination. It's about taking risks and just opening yourself up to like different ideas. And also adding more vibrancy into your life. How do you do that? Through exercise, through different fun, playful activities. So it's to be a reminder of that. Now, the thing, interesting thing in this scarf, a lot of my friends have asked me that why the crocodile? You know, why did I put a crocodile in the scarf? So if you look at the crocodile, this animal, you know, it goes deep in the water and then it surfaces back up. So I want this to be a reminder for us to go deep into ourselves. And, you know, when we go reflect on ourselves, take a moment and reflect on ourselves, go deep in ourselves and understand our emotions, our feelings, or why we're feeling a certain way, or what's holding us back, then, you know, when we reflect on that, we become more aware of it. And then you also get the answers, like all the answers are within us. Like when we become aware of what's holding us back, what's limiting us, we want to automatically figure out ways to break the limitation. So like the crocodile, we do a deep dive into ourselves and come out with answers. So that's symbolic of that. So that is why we see the whole color orange and then the crocodile to go with it. The last one that I wanted to share with you all is from my Royal Art collection. And this one is called the True Queen. It's a customer favorite. A lot of people have loved it, and I've got some really good reviews on it. And it's a very pretty design. And again, this is part of that 16th century art. You know, this kind of like art, this Persian art, people, again, limited perspective. And I was like, okay, if I want to tell the story of that art and come up with like, what is it that I want to share from that era with people? I was like, okay, everybody likes to look at queens, kings, and love. So I have 3 scarves in this collection, and they're about romance and the queen and the king. Now, what is it about the queen? Like a lot of times, you know, you'll hear people say that, oh, she's the queen. Oh, I am the queen. So what does it mean to be the queen? Does it mean you're a diva? So it's like, not really. So I wanted to just, you know, talk about that through this scarf and bring the real meaning out. Like, what is a true queen? A true queen is somebody, a woman, who accepts herself, who accepts all of herself, her flaws and everything, and she is not afraid to be seen. That is what a true queen is. They come in many shapes, many forms, and this kind of like embodiment, or this kind of archetype, as they say, is about accepting your femininity And femininity is not weakness. It's not a weakness. It's about, it has nurturing qualities, but it's also very grounded. It's also very powerful. And, when you embody yourself, then you become like a power magnet. So you're sure of yourself, you're more confident, and you can take on anything. And that's what being the true queen is about. Somebody who is very comfortable in her skin and loves herself regardless. That's what a true queen is. And that's what this scarf stands for. And it's a very beautiful scarf. I've used like the best silk that you can find in the market to make the scarf. It's a nice 16 momme, or mommy as they call it, silk. So it's durable enough to be worn as a piece of clothing. And I went to like different stores just to once I got my samples made from Italy, just to compare my scarves with what is being sold in places like Saks and Hermes and Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all these places, just to do the quality comparison. Do I measure up to them or not? Because I want to create luxury. I want to create a feeling of luxury. Like, is it working or not? And it did. Like, my quality is like Gucci, Louis Vuitton. You will not be able to tell the difference because it's a very good quality silk, and the manufacturer that I used are used by some of the top designers. So I was like, yeah, this is good. I can trust them and I can work with them. And so that's how I just put it all together, and I came up with these two collections. I'm going to move forward. So yes, this is something, so I had applied. So I've been selected by New York Fashion Week as one of the designers to watch for summer, spring of 2022, and I'll be debuting in February. That's when the New York Fashion Week is. So I'll be presenting the scarves at that time. And it's a pretty interesting thing. And a lot of people think that, oh, it is, how does one even get there? So there are, again, like, when you are passionate about something and when you want to learn about something, information starts coming to you, especially nowadays, with all this machine learning, it definitely comes to you, whether you like it or not. So as I was following all these different, like fashion related Instagram and other social media accounts, I came across like one of this opportunity where it said that New York Fashion Week is accepting applications for new designers and apply. So I was like, fine, I'll give it a shot. What's there to lose? What's the worst that can happen? It's just going to be, no, that's it. But that's not going to stop me. So I applied. And as I said earlier, like, I don't really have any formal background in fashion. I've never had a brick and mortar fashion store. So I don't really have a lot of that experience to compete with a lot of the other designers who actually have been in this area longer than me. And surprisingly enough, after 3 months, I got an email from them saying, have you ever participated in a fashion show? And I was like, oops, busted. So I was like, no, I have never done it. I'm just being honest with them. And then after 2 days, they said, we love your designs and we'd like to feature you as one of the designers to watch. And I was blown away. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. And something that's happening with fashion is that it's really changing nowadays. As you can see in the picture over here, there's this model sitting in a wheelchair. So in London Fashion Week, for the first time ever, a model on a wheelchair walked the runway, or went in a wheelchair on the runway, not literally walk, but you know what I mean. So it really is changing. It really is transforming how people are viewing things and problems, and how they are solving things through fashion. Like in this case, this designer designed clothing for people who are handicapped. Why? Because it's very hard for them to wear the regular clothing because they can't access the pockets or zippers in the same way. So it needs to be reconstructed. So she turned it into, her problem being a handicap herself, she turned it into a solution and gave her solution to the world as through fashion. So it really has an impact and has power to change and influence the way we look at things and the way we see things. At the bottom of the hair on the slide, I'm just talking about my social media accounts. If you are interested in seeing what kind of posts I'm doing and what I'm sharing, you're more than welcome to follow me. I also have a website. It's under my name, metriholliday.com. So it's, it's not, it won't be hard to find. And again, this is a very big accomplishment for me because a lot of people all over the world, a lot of designers, they apply for these events, and not everybody's able to get in, from what I understand. So it's really is a big achievement, and sometimes I have a hard time believing it that is happening. But yes, I am very grateful, and I'm very excited that I'll be in New York Fashion Week. And just the last Fashion Week that included in New York in September, about 16 million people were watching that Fashion Week. So the kind of exposure that I'm going to get, I'm blown away. None of the magazines that I found unaffordable to advertise in, because their starting price is $35,000 for a small ad, they all are going to be there and they'll be interviewing me. So there you go. It just exposure and the publicity all for not, minimal cost, which is pretty phenomenal for me. So I'm super excited about that. So in the end, I just wanted to share some of my, lessons learned, or as I call it, my leap of faith checklist. So some of the things that I really would like everyone to embody in their life is to continue to learn, get curious. What is it you want to do? If something is exciting you, just don't hold yourself back. Take time out for it. Educate yourself on it. So like I went about, like I studied different brands. I learned about different platforms, e-commerce platforms. I did a lot of research on vendors, where to find them. I had lost some money also during this process because what was told to me was very different from what was delivered to me. So like a lot of people were like, okay, why don't you go to some of these Asian countries to get the scarves made, because it'll be a lot cheaper. And it didn't really work for me, because the quality that I was looking for, the perfection that I was looking for, I couldn't find it over there. So I stick with US and Italy, and I was very happy with it. So again, get curious, save money. So again, everybody knows about this thing, but yes, put aside certain small portion of your income, little bit every day. Like I have been doing this thing ever since I've been starting to work, and that is why when I got into this business and I launched my brand, I did it all from my savings, my investment. I did not look for any external investment to help me start my business. And also, I just made sure that I have a system that works. So how am I going to go about this business? Who's going to handle my shipping and handling? Who is going to be helping with marketing and so forth? So again, I did all the research, and I just made sure that I have a system that's in place that will work. Also, when you're doing something new in life, not just starting a business, but just, if you want to like get into a new job or a new field, you have to be ready to see yourself in a different light. And sometimes that can can make you feel a little vulnerable, and that's okay. Unless and until you are willing to like do things a little different, you're not going to see much changes in your life. So if you want to see a change in life, you got to start doing things differently too. And so, yes, be ready to see yourself in different light. Like I had to be like, okay, by doing this business, I'll be more on social media. I'll be sharing a little bit of myself, and I'm okay doing that. And I had to be okay doing that so that people know me and can connect with me, given that I am just such a small brand. Another thing I learned through my journey is to surround yourself with supportive people. Be very choosy in whom you allow to enter your life, your space, because toxic relationships can really drain your energy. So yes, surround yourself with supportive, positive people. And even through my journey, I had criticism from some friends or family, and if I had listened to them, I would never have been in New York Fashion Week. So this would have never happened. So yes, adopt a positive mindset, believe in yourself, listen to your gut, your instinct. Sometimes we forget to do that, even though we know about it, but sometimes we don't do that. If something doesn't feel right, pay attention to it. What are your feelings, your hunches, or your body telling you? Why are you feeling uncomfortable? listen to your gut. There's a reason behind it. And take a slow down, step back, and, time to reevaluate and see what you want to do next. Stress, again, yes, is personally, as I have learned through my own experience, is something I didn't even know I was stressed. So just pay more attention to your health and nurturing yourself, and take time out for yourself. By taking time off yourself and taking care of yourself is an act of self-love, and there's nothing selfish about it. It's very important. Just some, I don't know if you know this thing, or you might actually, but loving yourself, what does it do to you? It releases oxytocin, the love hormone. And also, when you take better care of yourself, you're more happier. The serotonin is also higher in your body, and so oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, these are all like happy hormones. And when you're feeling balanced, your digestion is better, you're sleeping better. And what does that do to you? It gives you a clear mind from where you're able to make better decisions. That's where creativity comes in. Like when the mind is filled with rotten thoughts or self-sabotaging thoughts, then it's very hard for new ideas to enter your mind because you're not making space for them. So you really have to become more aware of that. Also, start getting clear on your story, like especially with if you are considering like a side hustle or something, or doing something later on down the line. Get very clear on your story. What is it that you want to do and why? Because it's the story that tells. People buy out of emotions and how you make them feel versus your actual product. And again, in the end, be consistent and show up for yourself. Don't make these positive mindset habits or this self-care habits a one-time thing. Be consistent with them. Show up for yourself. That is what it means, that you're doing things for yourself. That concludes this presentation. I'm happy to take any questions. I hope my story was able to add some value to your day.
Yeah, and feel free, since we're a smaller group, feel free to come off of mute and ask your questions. And while we're waiting for people to come up with questions, I can share with you, I did purchase a scarf, which is amazing. I can speak to the testament of high quality and the design and everything. And I decided today, I've been having a really rough week, and I decided, okay, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to get dressed. Not only was I doing the webinar, but I was like, I want to try this out. And I did wear this today. I didn't have any video calls, but I have to say, I was telling Metri before everyone joined, I was like, today I felt like, despite everything that's happening, I felt very focused. I felt very empowered. I didn't have to be on video, but there was something about dressing up and feeling like I was showing up today that truly made a difference. And I also wanted to share with everybody, it's the packaging that everything comes in is so well thought out. I know you've talked a lot about the designs, but the design of the packaging is just very exquisite. And I wanted to share that I was surprised because, again, Metri and I have been talking a lot about this, but I don't think she ever shared with me that when you get your scarf, you get the nice overview about the scarf. But the part that I loved, which is why I'm trying out a new look with the scarf, is that there's a handy guide that kind of shows you the different ways that you can wear it. And actually, Metri, I think you're wearing your scarf as a top right now.
Yeah.
That's very bold. I'm like, I don't know that I'll get mine to work like that, but it looks amazing. So it's quite a delight to get one of these. I will say that.
Thank you. And scarves are going to be the #1 hair accessory this fall. So in a lot of the fashion weeks, a lot of the magazines, you'll see this thing, especially the vibrant colors, the bold colors. So they're making their way, and silk scarf is the #1 accessory at the moment, hair accessory.
So
Actually,
oh, go ahead.
Hi, congratulations. Beautiful, beautiful scarves. Question for you, and I may have missed this. How did you market?
So in terms of marketing, I launched my business about like 3 or some months ago. So I'm still new. I'm primarily focused on 2 social media channels right now. One is through Instagram and one is through Facebook. Because again, when you're starting your brand and you're launching a brand, you have to keep in mind the buyer persona. Who is it that you're trying to target, and where will you find those people? So as of right now, Facebook and Instagram, based on the research that I did, were the top 2 venues or the outlets for me to market my scarf. So I have my social media accounts and following, and I do a lot of posts over there. I also do ad campaigns, and then I'm looking into doing some print ads, which will start happening starting from this December. But there's going to be just in the local magazines, nothing big right now. But as I was saying, some of these really popular magazines get really expensive. So I'm gonna wait for the New York Fashion Week, because that's gonna give me all the publicity and the exposure. And I haven't really spent a lot of dollars on marketing after I found out about the New York Fashion Week, because that's going to speak for itself.
Metri, I'm actually going to share with
your question.
I was going to share with everybody the website. I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, you want me to stop sharing?
No, I think I don't know if I'm doing it. Maybe
I have to stop sharing for you to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, that's one of my friends. She modeled for me.
Can you all see it now?
Yes, we can see it, Monica.
Perfect. So yes, you can go on the website, and then you have a lot of options. Post the call, we're going to send everybody a thank you for joining us today. And Metri has graciously offered to provide our WICT friends and family with a special discount code for 25% off. So be sure to look out for that, and we will send it post the event. But again, I'm like, I don't know if anybody else has questions, but I definitely can speak to the fact that it is an amazing piece of art, and it is really exquisite, and really an amazing story of how you came about this and was inspired to launch it, because it's not an easy feat to say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to launch a company. So
thank
anybody
you.
else? Yeah, anybody else have questions?
Oh, thank you.
I know that, no, I was going to say, I think that you had mentioned that going into next year, you may be developing a new line. Do you have like any thoughts or inspirations right now of what it's going to be centered around?
Yeah, so the new line will be, I'm going to call it Leading with Compassion. And it's going to be focused on the different, I'm going to look beyond my culture. I'm going to look into other cultures, and I'm right now doing a lot of research on that. And I have a few designs already done, but I'm still working on a few more. So I'm doing a lot of research on different cultures, reading different mythologies. There are some people who have written their thesis on those mythological characters, specifically women, and how those heroines from like far many moons ago, and how these women are these sort of say symbols, how they have changed people's viewpoints, and how they have shaped the values in the society. So it's going to be centered around those themes. Again, it's all about women empowerment and telling those women's stories, which are now considered to be myths.
That sounds amazing. we'll definitely be excited to see that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? I'm not seeing any here in the chat. But like we mentioned before, we will send out Metri's information to everyone. Again, thank you for joining us this evening and joining our WICT Washington DC Baltimore chapter event. You can go to www.wictdcbalt.org. I'll put it in the chat if you'd like to go ahead and kind of check out some of the other upcoming events that we have coming up. And again, we thank everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the next event. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy.
Thanks, Metri.
Hey, Judy.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna
I was just trying to log
hold
off.
on.